जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्ण। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, entitled Questions by Vidura, text 40. Aho prithapi driyater bhakarte Rajar Shivaryena vinapitena Yastve kaviro dirato vijigye Dhanurdvitiya kakubascha tashraha Aho pratapi driyater bhakarte Rajar Shivaryena vinapitena Yastve kaviro dhirato vijigye Dhanurdvitiya kakubascha tashraha Aho pratapi driyater bhakarte Rajar Shivaryena vinapitena Yastve kaviro dhirato vijigye Dhanurdvitiya kakubascha tashraha Pratapi driyater bhakarte Check. Oh, Pratapi driyater bhakarte Rajar Shivaryena vinapitena Yastve kaviro dhirito vijagye Dhanurdvitiya kakubascha shastra Aho pratapi driyater bhakarte Rajar Shivaryena vinapitena Yastve kaviro dhirato vijigye Dhanurdvitiya kakubascha tashraha Matajis Aho pratapi driyate pratate Rajar Shivaryena vinapitena Yastve kaviro dhirato vijigye Dhanurdvitiya kakubascha tashraha Aho, O my Lord, Pritha, Kunti, Api, also, Dhriyate, bears her life, Arbaka Arthe, for the sake of fatherless children, Rajarshi, King Pandu, Varyena, the best, Vina Api, without him, Tena, him, Yaha, one who, two, but, Eka, alone, Veeraha, the warrior, Adhiratha, commander, Vijigye, could conquer, Dhanuhu, the bow, Dvitiyaha, the second, Kakubaha, directions, Chatashraha, 4. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. O my Lord, is Pritha still living? She lived only for the sake of her fatherless children. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to live without King Pandu, who was the greatest commander and who alone conquered the four directions, simply with the help of a second bow. Purport. A faithful wife cannot live without her lord, the husband, and therefore all widows used to voluntarily embrace the burning fire which consumed the dead husband. This system was very common in India because all the wives were chaste and faithful to their husbands. Later on, with the advent of Kali, the wives gradually began to be less adherent to their husbands, and the voluntary embrace of the fire by the widows became a thing of the past. Very recently, the system was abolished since the voluntary system had become a forcible social custom. When Maharaj Pandu died, both his wives, namely Kunti and Madri, were prepared to embrace the fire. But Madri requested Kunti to live for the sake of the young children, the five Pandavas. This was agreed to by Kunti at the added request of Vyasadeva. In spite of her great bereavement, Kunti decided to live, not to enjoy life in the absence of her husband, but only to give protection to the children. This incident is referred to here by Vidura because he knew all the facts about his sister-in-law Kunti Devi. It is understood that Maharaj Pandu was a great warrior and that he alone, with the help of bow and arrow, could conquer the world's four directions. In the absence of such a husband, it was almost impossible for Kunti to live on even as a widow, but she had to do it for the sake of the five children. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O my Lord, is Pritha still living? She lived only for the sake of her fatherless children. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to live without King Pandu, who was the greatest commander and who alone conquered the four directions, simply with the help of a second bow. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 40. I beg for the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, my senior God brothers, all those who are watching online. Request for blessings of everybody before I speak on this. I'm sorry I didn't read from you. I forgot to bring my spectacles. So therefore I had to read from the laptop. So yeah, so in this chapter, the third canto, first chapter entitled Questions by Vidura. So the background to this is that Vidura has been unceremoniously thrown out of the palace of Hastinapur, thrown out of Hastinapur with only his breath, as Duryodhan says. So Vidura is actually happy. He leaves his bow on the doorstep of the palace and he leaves. And he goes on a pilgrimage to various places all over Bharatvarsha. And finally he meets with Uddhava near the Yamuna. So when he's going through Bharatvarsha, he goes through all the holy places. He goes to different places and then he comes to the Yamuna where he meets Uddhava. And when he meets Uddhava, he knows Uddhava is a very close associate of the Supreme Lord. Practically one of the closest associates of the Supreme Lord for the longest duration, because Krishna left Vrindavan at the age of 12 and then he was in Mathura, and then from Mathura they went to Dwarka. Then till the Lord left, he was in Dwarka mostly, except for the war. He was in Dwarka. So maximum, one of the closest associates was Uddhava. So when Vidura meets Uddhava, like one devotee meets another, one senior devotee meets another senior devotee. That's what's happening here. Some, very wonderful pastimes, very wonderful discussions happen. Actually, this third canto, first, second, third, to the second chapter, more or less, very beautifully it summarizes all the pastimes of Krishna. What is there in 10th canto in 90 chapters is summarized in these 1 or 2 chapters. It's very beautiful. So Uddhava, he asks him, inquires from him about the Lord. He asks about the different relatives of the Lord, about Pradyumna, Aniruddha, various people he inquires about. He asks about the Lord's associates. He asks about his devotees, the Pandavas. And finally, in this verse, he is asking about Kunti, the mother of the Pandavas. So it is important to note who is Vidura. See, Vidura is a very pivotal, though we don't realize probably, but Vidura is a very pivotal character in the Mahabharata. He is connected to both sides. He is connected to the Pandavas, the Kurus, because they are his nephews. And he is connected to the Yadavas also, because his sister was Rohini. And she was the mother of Lord Baldev. That is what is described. So in this verse, he is asking about his sister-in-law, Pritha or Kunti. So we may ask that why is he specifically remembering Kunti? He has remembered so many. He's remembered the Lord's associates directly. Why is he asking about Kunti? Kunti, is a woman. She is the wife of his long-lost brother. She's sister-in-law. But beyond that, Vidura knows that Kunti is also a pure devotee. He knows that she is one of the very close, devotees of the Lord. And from Kunti's life, actually, we can learn immense lessons on what is an ideal wife, what is an ideal mother, and what an ideal devotee should look like, and how an ideal devotee should behave, It is, what is the consciousness that an ideal devotee must have? That's very, very inspiring if you read Mother Kunti's life. So I'll touch a little bit about the life of Mother Kunti, and then we'll take one point from the purport that Srila Prabhupada speaks about and see if we can expand on that. So Kunti was the daughter of King Shursena, and he was a very, very powerful king, and of course, the family lineage of the Yadavas, and his son was Vasudev. And therefore, Kunti was the younger sister of Vasudev. So, when she was a child, actually, Shurasena gave her up for adoption to his cousin brother, who was childless, who didn't have a child, who was also king, Kunti Bhoj. He was also king, but he didn't have a child. Therefore, Shurasena gave up Kunti to her, to Kunti Bhoja. Gave Pritha, her name was Pritha, but he gave her in adoption to his cousin brother. And therefore, because she was famous as the daughter of Kunti Bhoja, she came to be known as Kunti. So, Pandu, he actually married Kunti in a Swayamvar. So it is described in the Mahabharata that there was a Swayamvar held by Kunti Bhoj, where many kings from all over the land had been invited. And they came, and when they were sitting in the Swayamvar, at that time Pandu made his entrance. And so we have to understand the context of this verse, that why Vidura is saying that it's so difficult for Kunti to live without Pandu. Itna kya great hai unke baare mein. We don't know so much. So little bit I'll just touch. When he entered the Swayamvar venue, it is described, all the kings, they saw Kunti and they were all hoping that Varmala will come in their necks. But the moment they saw Pandu entering, Pandu was the head, that time he was the king of the Kurus, who were practically controlling the world. So when they saw him entering, it is like already done. Matlab ye to ho gaya, that he has come, matlab he is going to be selected. But it was not just because he was the king of the world. It is because he was so effulgent. So the Mahabharata describes that Pandu was not an ordinary, ordinary soul. He was a very spiritual soul right from the start. From the beginning, he was a very spiritual soul. Of course, son of Vyasadeva, so naturally that is there. But he was very spiritual and very effulgent. So when he walks in wearing his armor, all the other kings, they say that ye to bhi ho gaya. And Kunti also, when she sees him, immediately she goes and very shyly she puts her Varmala on him. So he gets married, and then Bhishma suggests he also gets married to the daughter of king of Madradesh, which is, I think, the modern Tamil Nadu. So he gets married to Matri also. And it is described that he was living with them, enjoying like that. But then he felt, see, as a Raja Rishi, this is the characteristic of Raja Rishis, that they cannot sit peacefully if they see that dharma is not being followed. So Pandu noticed, he observed that all across Bharatvarsha, across the world, that time the whole world was called Bharatvarsha. So across the world, you're seeing that dharma was slowly on the decline. And he was very disturbed by this. He said that, I should do something. How can I just sit here and enjoy as a king when dharma is on the decline? So this is the characteristic of a Raja Rishi. Not just that if somebody is in power, doesn't mean that they are, and if, it's important that they also understand and observe and actually take action. When they see a decline of dharma, they take action, they facilitate dharma. So he takes the blessings of Bhishma, Vidura, and he goes on a battle. He goes in battle, and he goes and captures, conquers, as it is mentioned in this verse. He conquered the 4 directions. All 4 directions, whatever kings were there, they all submitted to Pandu and accepted his direction. So, but after he comes back, it is described in Mahabharata that when he came back, he saw that the Bhishma, Vidura, Dhritarashtra, they were all waiting that Pandu is coming back. And when he came, they saw that there was a huge line of elephants, chariots, and so much filled with wealth from all the kings he had conquered in all 4 directions. It was filled with wealth. So Pandu, he came. Now you can imagine that any other hero, any other hero, if they come back with so much victory, एक विजय घोष होता है उनका, and घोषणा होता है, and they are honored, and they come back and take their position on the chair that I brought all this, I did all this. But Pandu was not like that. He got all this wealth. He immediately gave all the wealth to Bhishma, Dhritarashtra, to Vidura, and he said that I will, he actually left Hastinapur with his 2 wives, because he's a very simple person. He didn't want to live in a big palace. He didn't want to have great opulence. He decided that I will go and live near the Himalayas, on the slopes of the Himalayas. A simple house was there. He made a simple house, and he was living there with his wives. So this is who Pandu is. Very, very effulgent person. And there, when he was living, he was always serving the Brahmanas, serving the rishis who lived there. So very simple and wonderful life. But he was living there as a Kshatriya, as a Grihastha. And that is where he got cursed, because he killed 2 deer who were mating. And then he realized that they were actually a Brahmana and his wife. So that Brahmana cursed him that if you try to have intercourse with your wife, you will die immediately. And the moment he heard this, he was very disturbed. When he saw that this is actually a Brahmana, he was very disturbed. So that Brahmana told him that आपको Brahman hatya ka paap nahi lega, because you didn't know that we were in deer form. You didn't know. So वो आपको पाप नहीं लेगा, but definitely for what you have done, you will suffer and you will die if you try to have intercourse with your wife. So when he heard this, he became so disturbed. Pandu said immediately, I am leaving this place. I am going to live in the forest like a sannyasi. I am leaving my wives. I am going to now fully renounce the world, and I am going to fully, completely surrender to the Lord. I will do nothing else. So he tells his wives that you all please go back to Hastinapur. There you will be protected, because now I am no longer there for you. I am going to the forest. So when this he says to his wives, now Kunti, she tells Pandu that, on behalf of both of them of course, she tells him that no, we will be with you. He says, but I now am going to live a life of terrible austerity. Baba, I am not even living in this house in the Himalayas. I am going to go to the forest now. I am going to live here. So she says, doesn't matter. We will come with you and we will live like Vanaprastha. She says, we will live like Vanaprastha, because he has told them what curse he has received. So we will live like Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means what? That after living life, a good life of Grihastha, when people decide to give up all sense gratification and focus their lives. Today there is no one, so Vanaprastha is difficult. But that life is still possible, where a couple decides that enough, now we have enjoyed enough, we have had enough good food, we have gone to enough places, sab kar liya hum log, we have had children, everything is done now. All our responsibilities, everything done. Now let us focus on Krishna consciousness. So she said that we don't want to leave you. We want to be with you. Because Pandu was like that. You imagine that, as he said, one side he is like a powerful Kshatriya king who conquered all 4 directions. On the other side, he is a Rajarishi. He is a pure devotee who's extremely disturbed by the mistake he made. And he completely blames himself, and he says that now I should just renounce the world. I don't want to. Already he was living in a renounced way only. वो भी छोड़ना है उनको कि I don't want to know anything. I'll just go. So who can leave a person like this? It's very difficult to leave a person like this. So she says that, no, we don't want to leave you. She says, we live like Vanaprastha. And he says, but I will live very austere life. So they both say, that's all right. We also will live an austere life with you. Koi problem. We just want to be with you. So like this, they were living in the forest with all the rishis and, the great sages. They were living there. And at one point of time, the thought came to Pandu that, we don't have any children. And now I have been cursed. I cannot have children. So he started thinking that when I was a king, I was, doing Shraddha for my ancestors. Now, for us, there is nobody to do Shraddha. I don't have and my family line will end here. So, and Dhritarashtra also had no children till that time. So he was thinking our family line will end, so what to do? So he approached Kunti, he spoke to the rishis, and then he approached Kunti and he said that it is allowed when a husband is either dead without a child or, in such a situation, it is allowed that you can have a child with, with a rishi or something. Like I was also born like that. Vidura, me and Dhritarashtra, we were born like that. So if you're okay, can you, with the rishis, some of the rishis over here. So Kunti says no. She says, I don't mind that, we have a union and both you leave your body, I'll live with you. No problem. We'll both leave our body, but let us not do this. I don't want to do this. She didn't like his suggestion basically. But when he persisted, then she tells him that I had received this boon in my childhood. So Kunti, we have to understand that she's a sadhvi from her very birth practically. She's not an ordinary soul, not some ordinary daughter of a king. She's a sadhvi from her birth. Because when as a young girl, Durvasa Muni, the Maha Prakopi, sage, when he comes to Kunti Bhoj's kingdom, everyone is always afraid. Durvasa, we always hear stories of him cursing somebody. So everyone is always afraid. But she served him very nicely. So nicely she served him that he gave her a blessing. He gave her a mantra. He said, with this mantra you can invite, whoever you invite has to come. He's forced to, like that. And give you a child, like that. So she tells him that I had received this blessing from Durvasa Muni. And since you have this desire, all right. She could have told him right at the start. But she did not, because she's a very chaste woman. You have to understand what is Kunti's chastity. Though, of course, Karna was born much before when she was a young girl. But still, her chastity was very intact. She's a very pure person. That was a mistake. Out of a childlike curiosity, she tried out the mantra and then Suryadev manifested. But otherwise, she's a very chaste person. So then they had Yudhishthir first, then they had Bhima. And, Yudhishthir is the embodiment of dharma. And then Pandu felt that dharma, to protect dharma, we need power. Without power, you cannot protect dharma. So then he called upon Vayu. They called upon Vayu to get a powerful child, Bhima. And then Pandu started thinking that, we should have another son who is very skillful, but who would be one of the best of all those who are devoted to the Lord. We should have one son who is like a very pure devotee. So he was thinking like this. So then the rishis suggested that why don't you all do austerities for some time. So for 1 year, for 1 full year, Pandu and Kunti, every day from the morning, from the sunrise to the sunset, they would stand on one leg and they would meditate and they would pray, fasting from water and food. For 1 full year, both of them did it. And at the end of the year, Indra appeared in the dream of Pandu and told him that I will come now. I will come and die. So then he tells her that you invite Indra, and then they have Arjuna. So Arjuna is born. So the detailed description given in Mahabharata that when Arjuna was born, what all happened? So many auspicious things happened, right? Similarly, when Duryodhana was born, all inauspicious things happened. But when Arjuna was born, so many of the Kinnaras and all the Kimpurushas, great souls all came to take darshan. The great sages from the higher planetary systems came to take darshan that a great devotee has been born. So again, Arjuna is not, he didn't become a devotee when he met Krishna and he became friend of Krishna. He was a born devotee. So you have to understand, there are special souls. Each of these people, each of these Pandavas, Kunti, Pandu, all of them are special souls. It's not just the Pandavas, all of them. So, like that. So when Pandu asked for a 4th son, he said, Ek chautha, give me a fourth son. She stopped him. She said, enough. She said, enough, that on your behest, because you wanted sons, I told you about this mantra, and I have had now three times I have had with somebody, connection with somebody else, with someone who's not my husband. The scripture says if you go beyond this, you are actually doing sinful activity. So enough, 3 is enough. And then Madri expresses her desire to Pandu that even I want a son. Even I want a child. Kunti has had 3, I have had nobody. So then Pandu approaches Kunti again, and Kunti is so broad-minded. She says, all right, I'll give the mantra to Madri. So again, Madri has 2 sons. And then it is described that at some point of time, Pandu got attracted to Madri and he tried to have union with her, and immediately he died. And when he died, at that point of time, Madri was, she tried to stop him, but he didn't listen, because as they say, Vinashakale Viprita Buddhi, even for great souls, if the intelligence is lost, then they make mistakes. He made this mistake and he left his body. And she started crying loudly, and Kunti comes to that spot and she says, what have you done? Not to Madri, she says to Pandu, that what happened to you, Arya? How did this happen? You knew, you were always aware, you were always alert about this. That, I have this curse, I should not even touch. For 10 years they had lived like this. 10 years. Without even touching his wife. He had lived like that for 10 years. So and both of them are crying. And then Kunti says, anyway, now he has left his body, so I will leave my body with him. So when she is thinking like this, and she is the elder wife, so she gets the first right. She gets the first choice. So when she is thinking like this, at that time Madri stops her. She says, no, I would like to give up my body. You please stay back. So Kunti says, no, but I would like to go with my husband to the higher planetary system. I would like to go. So Madri convinces her. She says that, first of all, our husband left his body because of me. So I should go, and I would like to be with him in the heavenly planets. So I would like to go. And second, more important reason, she says that we have 5 sons between us. And those 5 sons, she says that I am not sure that I will be able to see all of them equally. I will not. I will tend to favor my sons. But I know you, Kunti, you will certainly not distinguish between my son and your sons. You will not distinguish. You will certainly treat all of them equally. And so therefore, I humbly request you that let me enter the fire with my husband. I don't want to live. I know that you also don't want to live without him. But please, for this one reason, that you take care of our sons, you please stay back. And as Prahlad Priya Prabhu said yesterday, culture comes from the top. He said culture comes from the top. Because Kunti was like this, Madri recognized this quality in Kunti, that she is a sadhvi. She is not going to distinguish that this is my son, janasya moham aham mameti. These are my sons, my children, so therefore they get... She knew that she is not on that platform. She is on a spiritual platform. Therefore she suggested. And because Kunti was like this, so similarly the sons, the Pandavas, were also like that. So Yudhishthir, Bhima and Arjuna, very beautifully Vidura says that like the eyelids take care of the eyes, in the same way they took care of the sons of Madri. So we never hear, see, for those who know the Mahabharata, have read the Mahabharata, know that they are sons of different mothers, right? But they are always called Pandavas. And Kunti always refers my 5 sons. My 5. She doesn't say my 3 sons and the sons of Madri. She always says my 5 sons. So this is who Kunti was. And Kunti also, when she was requested by Madri, obviously her desire, as it is described here, she did not want to live in the absence of her husband. She did not want to live anymore. But she considered, see how sensitive she was, she considered the situation of Madri. Not because Madri told her that you will be equal to my sons. She considered the situation of Madri, that if I give up my body and Madri continues living, she will live with guilt her whole life. Whole life she will be feeling guilty. Meri wajah se my husband died. Meri wajah se my husband died. You know, my children have become fatherless because of me. So that guilt will consume her all her life. So she was very sensitive to this point, and because of that, she agreed to bear the terrible separation from her husband for the sake of her 5 sons. And Kunti, we understand, also played the role of a pure devotee. Right? Now we understand when we look at from the viewpoint of the acharyas who explain to us who these characters are and how they are playing their role in the grand plan of Krishna, how these characters are playing their role. If we see from the viewpoint of the acharyas, we can understand. So actually Kunti wanted to embrace the fire, but for the sake of fulfilling the plan of the Supreme Lord Krishna, she chose to take care of her sons. And because she did that, because she continued to be a strong figure taking care, it's very difficult when you have 5 sons. Of course, it is described that those 5 sons, all of them were from the birth only, because they have transcendental birth. So from birth only they had divine qualities. But still, for a single mother, as they say in today's day and age, for a single mother to take care of 5 sons, how tough. She has to be like a rock. She was like a rock. She took care of them. And they in turn changed the course of destiny. They became pure devotees of the Lord. They changed the whole course of destiny. So she decided to live. Prabhupada makes a very pertinent point in the purport, that she decided to live not to enjoy life in the absence of her husband. You know, sometimes in today's day and age, we are living in, as they say, Ghor Kalyug. Right? So this Ghor Kalyug mein what happens? That if a husband is kind of not very old, young, middle-aged, he loses his wife, he immediately looks at enjoyment. That, okay, let me enjoy now. Let me get married again, or let me enjoy now. My wife is not there, abhi koi jawabdari nahi hai, abhi main maja karunga. Similarly, wife also may think like that in today's day and age, that a husband is gone, very good. Bala tal gayi, now let me enjoy. You know, it's unfortunate, but this is where the world is moving today. Everyone is looking at only personal enjoyment, and anything that comes uske aade aata hai, anything that comes as an obstacle to my enjoyment, gaya, bala tal gayi, you know, that way. So, but she, Prabhupada says, decided to live not to enjoy life in the absence of a husband, but only to give protection. That was her only purpose. That let me protect these sons, because these sons are divya. These children that I have, they are not ordinary, they are sons of demigods. They are the only, you know, hamare lineage mein they are the only living. So, grand plan of Krishna, how to do it. Now, her life, if you look at Kunti's life, it's a very difficult life, right? From the point she was a young girl, she had to let go of one of her sons for the social stigma that it would bring. So from her birth, she had to give away. Then after that, husband, who was a king of the whole world, decided to live simply. I live in the Himalayas. And then there also he gets cursed. From there they go inside the forest and they're living in a thatched hut. They have nothing. Very difficult life. But she was very happy. But once the husband leaves, after that the true misery started. Continuously her life was filled with anxiety, humiliation, and at every stage there was suffering. Every stage, continuously. You imagine as a mother, I mean there are a few Matajis here, as a mother, if you have a child or if you have a few children and you're constantly seeing someone is trying to kill those children, what will the mother go through, right? I mean, mother's love for the child is so much that ek chota sa kharosh, small scratch also comes on the child, immediately the mother goes running, she picks up the child and she holds the child and, puts medicine, kisses the child, ki, Baba, I'm there for you, like that. That is why children are so attached to their mothers, because mothers are so attached to the children. Imagine if the mother is living in constant fear that any moment these people are going to kill my children. What kind of fear and anxiety that is, right? Poison, they tried to poison Bhima, they tried to kill all of them in a fire. No remorse, no shame. If you read the Mahabharata and we really look at what is happening in the current context, if that was to happen, imagine how people would retaliate. But these are sadhus, these are great souls, they are devotees. So they tried to kill them in the fire. There were demons who attacked them when they were in the forest. Asat Sabha, so many things, so many calamity after calamity after calamity, one after the other. Or they got a kingdom, the whole kingdom was taken away. So many calamities. But what is her mood? Let the calamities come. She is saying, Vipada Santu Ta Sashwat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yat Syad Apunar Bhava Darshanam. She says, I wish, Kunti is saying, I wish that all these calamities would happen again and again. मतलब ये कहने के लिए बड़े guts लगते हैं. It's not so easy for someone to say that let calamities come again and again. She says, because in these calamities we could see you, my Lord. She's telling Krishna in the prayers of Queen Kunti, in the 8th canto of the 8th chapter of the 1st canto, prayers of Queen Kunti is mentioned over there. So she is telling Krishna that, my Lord, let these calamities come again and again. Let the calamities come again and again, because in these calamities, we get your darshan. So see the closeness of Krishna with these Pandavas. They are actually cousin brothers. They're cousins. Krishna is the cousin of these people. So there's natural closeness. Cousins are normally very close with each other. So Krishna was always there for the Pandavas because he knows what is their role. He knows what they are going to do. Therefore, he is always protecting them, protecting Kunti. So she is saying that because whenever these calamities happen, we could see you. And by seeing you, we will no longer see repeated birth and death. So this is the consciousness of this great sadhvi, Kunti, who lived a life full of misery, but still never complaining, never resentful that, my Lord, what is this? So much suffering, devotee children, devotee mother, ये क्या चल रहा है? She never complained. She was always very happy that my sons are devotees, devoted to Krishna, and she was also devoted to Krishna, and she's saying this. I don't mind the calamities come because this way we get your darshan. So this is the great life of Mother Kunti. And I'm just going to touch on one of the points that Srila Prabhupada makes in the Purport about a faithful wife cannot live with her husband, without her husband. Faithful wife cannot live without her husband, and therefore Kunti and many other queens and ladies in the past, if their husband died untimely, they would enter the fire along with their husband. So I want to just spend a few minutes. Of course, it's a controversial topic. So pardon me if I make any mistake over here. It is my mistake if I made a mistake. I'm just trying to understand what is it that will motivate a woman. Like Prabhupada says, that this went on for many centuries, millennia, this practice was there. But in recent times it was abolished because women were being forced to immolate themselves along with the husband, even if they didn't want to. Nahi karna hai, nahi, you have to. Therefore, sati was forcibly abolished, and it's a good thing. But I was just trying to think that what is it in that husband that a woman says, I don't want to live without that husband even for a minute. She prefers to, husband has died and the body is being burnt. She is alive, and in an alive body she prefers to be burnt by fire rather than living without the husband. The pain of living without the husband is so much more than the pain of in a living body getting burned to death. What kind of qualities, what kind of relationship is there between husband and wife that woman voluntarily accepts, to burn herself? So I was just trying to think about this. What is the foundation for this kind of attachment and love? And is it even possible in today's day and age? We are in Kali Yuga. Is it even, I'm not suggesting that, there should be this attachment and therefore women should do it. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying the principle. Can we adopt this principle that woman and man are attached to so much each other, they attach so much to each other that they really practically cannot live without each other? So what is those principles? Let us just spend a few minutes on that. So the first thing, the first foundational point is that there was a genuine love for each other. Husband and wife, if they genuinely love each other, and that love is not centered around bodily attachment, because bodily attachment is purely sensual, and as the body starts deteriorating, that's going to go away. It's a natural thing, that attachment, because after some years, husband no longer looks good looking, wife no longer looks beautiful, both of them get, irritated with each other, and that physical attachment is going to go away over a period of time. But this genuine love for each other was centered around this Daivi Varnashram Dharma, which is eternal. This Daivi Varnashram Dharma, the principles are eternal. So the love for each other was centered around this Daivi Varnashram Dharma. Therefore, it is eternal. It's never going to go away. Another thing that was there in that, you can say in that era, okay, and it can be there today also. See, today also husband and wife can have a relation that is centered around Daivi Varnashram Dharma. That is what Prabhupada is trained. That is what we have been trained. As Vaishnavas, those are Grihasthas, are trying to live this life. We are not very successful, I agree, but we are trying. We are at least supposed to live this life of Daivi Varnashram Dharma, where the attachment is there, but it's not a bodily attachment. It's an attachment based on this, that we will serve together in Daivi Varnashram. Another principle that creates a strong bond between a husband and a wife is oneness of purpose. Oneness of purpose, oneness of values. If a husband and wife have different qualities, and they normally do, right? Two same natures is very difficult. They say opposites attract, no? We say, conventionally opposites attract. But if two people have very different natures, like I always say my wife and me have very completely different natures, 180 degrees apart. What I like, she dislikes. What she likes, I dislike. It's completely different. But somehow by Krishna's grace, continued for a very long innings, right? So, what is it that holds two people who are very different, with very different likes and dislikes? What is it that holds them together? Oneness of purpose. Oneness of values. So, even if externally on the bodily level, the likes and dislikes are different, if both have similar values. Values means what? That if you take away everything, what remains with you inside? What do you consider valuable? What do you consider important in life? If there is a oneness in that between husband and wife, why husband and wife? Between God brothers, God sisters. If there is oneness in purpose, Jivera Swarupoye Krishnera Nitya Das, oneness in purpose. We are all Gopi Bhartur Pada Kamalayor Das Dasanu Das. Prema Pumartho Mahan. The ultimate goal of life is to achieve pure, unmotivated, uninterrupted love for Krishna. Oneness in purpose. Our life is meant to serve Gurudev. Our life is meant to serve Vaishnavas. Oneness in purpose, oneness in values. Even if everything else is different. If this is there, there is a strong attachment between each other, right? Another thing that is very important, so I am just extending the analogy of husband-wife to even because there are many, people here who may not be married. But that same principle applies even to a community of Vaishnavas. How will a community of Vaishnavas stick together? Because again, very different natures, brahmachari ashram, all living together, very different natures. How do we stick together? So the same principles apply there as well. That genuine love for each other centered around Daivi Varnashram. Of course, it will not be Daivi, it will be ashram, the brahmachari ashram, like that. Oneness of purpose and values. Everyone is focused. I am here to serve. I am here as servant of Guru. I have no other individual. So if husband and wife think like that, it's good. Oneness of purpose and values. Third, deep respect for each other. Deep respect for each other. If that is there between husband and wife, and not just respect for each other, respect for each other based on the respective roles that each person is playing. So in the home, husband is playing a particular role. Wife is playing a particular role. Now, even if the wife is working, she is earning money, she is independent, right? Nowadays, the whole culture, the whole training, the education is given to tell women, be independent, be independent, be independent. Yes, be independent, no problem, be independent. But be dependently independent, be thoughtfully independent. Don't just be wild independent. Same goes for men also. Same, it's not that this applies only to women. No, it applies to men also. Be independent. But don't be so independent that your dependents start suffering because of that. We need to be sensitive. We understand that each person in this household has a particular role to play. Husband has a role, wife has a role, mother-in-law, father-in-law, children, everyone has a role to play. If you have deep respect for each other, that whatever role you are playing, you do to the best of your ability, have deep respect. That respect is not based on, oh, तुमने पैसा कमाया क्या? Did you earn enough money? मेरे को 1 BHK घर में ठहराया. I have lived in a 1 BHK house all my life. No, that respect is not based on material things. That respect is based on the fact that this person with integrity is doing his or her duty day in and day out, despite all obstacles, despite all difficulties, despite bad health, good health, whatever. Matra sparshas tu kaunteya shita ushna sukha dukha. No matter what, this person is not leaving his or her duty. We have to respect each other based on that. If that respect is there, there is strong attachment. Then fourth point is about shared services. If we are together doing as husband and wife or as Vaishnavas in a community, if we are doing some services together, shared services to the Supreme Lord, shared services to the community, if we are serving together, that creates a bond. If devotees, two men, are serving Shri Radha Gopinath, the deities together, like there are these devotees who come every Friday for the last 25, 30 years. Every Thursday, last 25, 30 years, they are there, come what may. And what a bond it creates when you're serving the Lord directly together. You pass the turban, you pass the earrings, you pass this, and they're helping each other and they're serving together. What a bond it creates. The Lord is smiling down upon them right in front of them. मतलब 1 इंच का दूरी है भगवान से. भगवान सामने खड़े हैं और उनकी सेवा ले रहे हैं. He is definitely smiling on them. Srimati Radharani is definitely smiling upon them. Those who are directly serving the Lord. What a bond it creates. What a bond it creates when we serve together like this. And then last, there are many others, but just one last point I'll say, that this quality of depending on each other. As I said, independently dependent or dependently independent, whatever way you look at it. Independence is good. We should never become so dependent on someone that they have too much power over us and that they can exploit us. We should not have so much dependence on anybody. There should be little minute independence. Anyway, the Lord has given to everyone. The soul has been given. Krishna has given minute independence. So who are we to say, no, you have to be completely dependent? No. Minute independence is there. But same time, that independence should not lead to the husband saying, you need me. You need me. Or the wife saying, you need me. I don't need you. Both sides it is unhealthy. Husband and wife both need to have this consciousness of interdependence, that I need you. Amongst a Vaishnav community, if preacher starts thinking, this community needs me, मैं नहीं तो तुम्हारा भक्ति शुरू भी नहीं हुआ था, मैं आके आपको भक्ति का बी सिखाया, आपको बी भी नहीं मालूम था भक्ति का, मैं सिखाया. If the preacher starts thinking that you need me, there is a problem. If the community starts thinking, हम नहीं तो तुम्हारा preaching कौन सुनेगा, तुम्हारा program कौन setup किया, उसका लक्ष्मी किसने दिया, हमने दिया. If the community starts thinking like that, then what is going to happen? There are going to be disputes. Everyone needs to think, I need you. If that consciousness is there, we are very safe. We will not make mistakes. Between husband and wife, if husband starts thinking, you need me, पैसा तो मैं कमा रहा हूँ, मैं ला रहा हूँ. Wife starts thinking, I don't need your money, I can earn my own money, I don't need you. It is only going to lead to ego clashes and disputes. But if both think that I need you, then there's a very safe, a very conducive environment in the house where both love each other, both support each other, both respect, like we said, genuine love centered around Devi Varnashram Dharma, oneness of purpose and values, deep respect for each other, for the respective roles that each person plays, shared services, dependence on one another. When this kind of a bond is there between husband and wife, or between God brothers, God sisters, they truly cannot live without each other. When one devotee leaves the body, other devotees are thinking that, what is my life without this person? Not that, chala gaya, haan, theek hai, good. भगवान का arrangement है, जाना था, सबका जाने का time होता है. But if there is attachment, there is love, you cannot live without that devotee. You feel the pain that, with this devotee, every day when I used to do kirtan, he used to play kartal. When I used to, when he used to give lecture, I used to sit under his feet and hear. That pain has to be there. Then we are living like Vaishnavas. That husband and wife also, that bond should be there, that I cannot live without this person. So these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, they give us the opportunity to contemplate on these qualities of these celebrated devotees. Why are they there in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam? Because they have this kind of a relationship with their husband, with their children, a relationship based on mutual love and respect, but centered around Supreme Lord Krishna. So we also should try to, in our lives, try to imbibe these qualities. As a husband, as a wife, as an aspiring husband, aspiring wife also, we should try to learn these qualities and see that how can I also live such a life that I make a wonderful environment for my husband, wonderful environment for my wife. How can I do this rather than being in this, you need me and you're there for my enjoyment. So I'll end with this. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari. Can we take any one question if anyone has one question? Because it's a little controversial topic. Anyone has any questions or shall we end here? Questions or comments anyone wants to add? Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.